Otherwise, we will get very tired before we can even say anything. So for those who have not been with us, we have had a good afternoon, and it was great. But let's ask Christine. Christine, lead us in a word of prayer so that we know that we have now moved into another session, and we want the good Lord to hold our hands in this
Okay, let's
session.
pray. Let us pray. Kind and everlasting God, we want to thank you for this day, oh God. We want to thank you, God, for all the activities that have taken place today, oh God, from 8 up to this time, oh God. We say thank you for the strength, for the knowledge and the wisdom, oh God, that you've given unto us, oh God. And we ask that even as we start our evaluation meeting, oh God, you're going to be with us, oh God. And I believe that whatever discussion is going to take place, oh God, you're going to lead us and you're going to be at the center of it all. For it's in the name of Jesus we do pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Christine. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome you to this evaluation meeting. And first and foremost, I would like to thank you for the heavy week we have had. I want to thank the team that is connecting us to Mbale SS and Iganga SS. That is not a mean type of work. It is really hard work. I can really see what's going on in the church, but also in the classrooms. This week, I've not had a good opportunity to drop in to see what is happening in the classes. So it is you to tell us what it has been, and please, the challenges that have come through this week, we'll want to hear them. And I think I want us to pause a minute here and give you a chance. For those who have been to Mbale and Igangeses, what are the key things that are coming through that you think we need to take note of? Over to you. I don't know who is starting, but the team Mbale, team Iganga. Elisa, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Dungu, and thank you so much, everyone who has joined this call. It has been a very long day, and yes, we are here. I want to bring something I've noted while at Mbale SS. We are trying to make collaboration in these two schools like we had started, that is Mbale SS and Iganga SS. And on Sunday, we had a meeting and we came up with a timetable at Mbale SS where we fixed in Iganga SS such that some of the lessons were to be shared, which has come to pass. How do we do it at Mbale SS? At Mbale SS, we have 3 sessions. Before we go for lessons at Mbale SS, and I think it's what is happening even in Iganga, we have the 3 phases. The first phase is departments come and start their preparations by slides. When those slides are ready, we always go through them with Mr. Inom and the team that is at the forefront. Then when they pass the test we want, we create a demo, and all the teachers who are around, they join the call. And in that demo, we try to polish up a few things, and we ask the teacher to try out what we expect from him in class. For example, if a student asks a question, are you able to annotate? And when that particular department passes the demo, then we give them the students to try out in the lesson. So basically, those are the 3 things we are doing at Mbale SS, and we always do them. For every lesson we go for. What I have noted from classes, the students of senior 1 in particular, when you compare with other students, their turn up is so high in both schools. On a special note, I want to appreciate Teacher Winnie. I don't know if she's on this call, and the Agnes, those who are coordinating Iganga. They have always brought the students. I don't know how they mobilize them, but their numbers are always bigger than the one at Mbale says. What I noted so much in this senior one class, before I forget, is that they are so they do participate, and it's like at the back of their participation, parents are following. And what I realized is that the senior ones are more supported, even with the ICT facilities. I noted that most of the senior ones walk to class with laptops, and the parents of this class are ready for e-learning compared to other classes. We have some of the challenges that we face while at the field here. And these challenges, some of them are minimal and others are a bit complex because now you have to involve in the administration at times, which is a bit hard. The first one is the internet, the issue of internet. Mr. Dungu, I want to thank you for trying so much. At Mbale says we have a very fast and it is working very well. Apart from some particular times, especially whenever we finish the morning lessons starting at 11, it does not slow down, but sometimes it breaks. Mr. Andrew, the one who is focal at ICT, and Adam, the other time tried to explain to me that maybe it's the numbers of people that make that thing to break. So I really don't know what happens. Every time it clocks to 11 and onwards, the internet breaks. And when it comes back when it is slow. Then lessons, we still have few lessons in the timetable. For example, in the senior 2 class, this week they had only 2 lessons, and that was English. The other lesson was physics, and the students are so demanding, they want lessons. I noted this in the senior 1 class when they were having Kiswahili. The teacher prepared many slides and took them from 11 towards lunch. And when the teacher was trying to tell them to move out of the room, to stop, they shouted, and they still wanted the lesson. And one student put up the hand and said, "Madam, why can't we have about 3 lessons every day?" Unfortunately, on that day, they were having only 1, and it was their 3rd lesson in the whole week. So we need the lessons, and students really need the lessons in the timetable. I don't know what we are going to do with that. And in A level in particular, we really need a lot of mobilization. This Friday, we were supposed to have agriculture in one of the rooms that was hosted by Madame Javi. When we entered there, we were there alone up to some time when one student came. Then we were forced to postpone that lesson to the next day because of the turn up of the students. That is a very big challenge, especially in the A-level class. I don't know how help will come in to help these schools on the best strategy of how maybe this can on how to mobilize the students and chastise the parents for them to especially in the A-level class. Then lastly, the content that we share in Mbale says versus Iganga, it is bringing very good collaboration between teachers in particular, at least Mbale says and Iganga. When you look, it is now, the distance is so small. Every time I want to call Teacher Winnie, I just pick my phone, I call, she's just like in the next room here. Every time I have a challenge, I'm not seeing a lesson, I just talk to Winnie on my phone. So that collaboration is very good, especially in Mbale and Iganga, in the teachers in particular. And students are also very appreciative. Every time they come to the class, you really see they are trying to interact with the students of Mbale, keep talking to the ones of Iganga, only that the ones of Iganga at times switch to Lusoga, and the whole conversation, sometimes you see the ETSOs trying to complain. but the collaboration is very good. That thing is working out very well. Mbale SS versus Iganga. Then on the content we share, at times Iganga team, sometimes they come a bit late and students complain so much, especially when the lesson is going to be hosted from Iganga SS. And at times their internet breaks down and sometimes they don't come back. So that's another great challenge when it comes to this content that we always share. Then I was also thinking of maybe down as a summarize. I had also thought of this, if we can maybe do them. The timetable, if it can be redrawn such that we have more subjects being brought on board, especially in the O-level classes. And I don't know the best solution you can advise. Iganga says, especially when it comes to the internet, it is becoming unreliable. Especially yesterday, we were supposed to have biology. Then eventually the students came and we had to just postpone the lesson because the teachers could not make it to the room because of the network. Then I was also thinking of these two schools, now that they are collaborating very well, the students are very excited. If we can maybe give them a quiz such that the two schools can try out and we see the results. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Dungu.
Okay, thank you, Erisa. Maybe it would have been good to hear from Iganga, but I don't see our resident trainers from Iganga. So for now, let us react to the Mbale report. Mr. Masaba, I request that you use the lesson report template to write that Mbale report so that it supports what Christine is putting down for this meeting. You said so much and probably you left out so much. So please take the lesson report template and title it Mbale week of, I don't know where we started. Now it is the 11th. Maybe we started on 6th. Okay. Madam Javi.
Thank you, Mr. Dungu. I want to just react to two things. One is I hosted actually 3 lessons this week, but like he has said, IPS, I remained with the teacher. When the students came on, they said for them they were senior 4. Probably they promoted themselves because we don't have senior 4 right now. When we went to agriculture, still we were only with the teacher. So I think for A-level, the problem is mobilization. If those teachers, Mr. Masaba, if you could tell the teachers to mobilize, I don't know that if they have the parents' numbers or WhatsApp, I don't know how they did it with O-level, but they can employ the same with A-level because those are classes that were already in school. So I believe they could be having the contacts of the parents so that they inform them. Even that day when the Greek lesson, I tasked the girls who were there were 2 girls, and requested them to spread the gospel to their friends. I think A-level, it is basically lack of communication that students don't know. Then I want to comment on the breaking internet in Iganga. Since it is a shared knowledge or shared presentation, I suggest that the co-teachers at Mbale should also have a copy of the presentation, so that if it breaks, if the main teachers cannot log on, then the co-teachers in Mbale should simply take over the lesson instead of postponing. Unless they're saying they simply contribute and leave the other ones to be the main presenters. To me, I think the collaboration should be both teams should have the presentation, so that if the one team cannot present, then there should be a side B or a backup. So the team in Mbale should take, the students should not even know that the other people are the ones who have not come. The team in Mbale should just take over. That is what I had to say.
And I think that is what we planned last weekend, and we said that even Mr. Anjala at the center should have the presentation, but maybe the presentations also still come out late. And yes, while you are holding hands with Mbale and Iganga, there are certain areas you may not be able to reach. So if they're still dragging their feet, it is only administration that can take charge of that. We may not. So our resident trainers, you need to report all these. Actually, you share the report you make to us. For example, Mbale, you share that with the INOM. And then if Iganga, they write a report, they share that with the head teacher. I realize that we are going to have a problem with this account because we have been using it the whole of today. So people are just bouncing in. I can see somebody is connecting. When she settles in, we shall let her know that she's in the wrong room. So look out for the new people, and the co-hosts. You should be able to. Navisubi Ida, has she dropped already? She has dropped. Okay, you need to take note because people will come in. So I was just saying that let us push this information to the deputies responsible so that they handle the situation. The internet in Iganga is low. I'm wondering whether those teachers are teaching from the computer lab. Are they using the radio or they are in their homes? Because now that's definitely, and if they are teaching from the computer lab, then we need a report from Iganga to Renew. And that is what Mr. Masaba, you are raising, and you just quote for us. You write a small email to me talking about the internet so that I send it to Renew, and Renew should be able to look at that particular time of the day and see what happens. Maybe there is something that happens that they can discover. But also if Iganga has problems after tripling their bandwidth, then we also write to Renew. But what I know is that the person in charge of Renew, the ICT man in Iganga, has not showed up on this program. And I think if our team was here, they would tell us, I think they've had a challenge where I think the teachers are telling them, you pay us if you want us to conduct these lessons. After all, at help, you are paid. So, but they have reported yesterday, they told me they gave the headmistress information on that, and she said she's going to call the individuals. So I think the headmistress still needs to come strongly out on that. I know in Mbale, the headmaster really came out strongly on the program and assigned a deputy. So I don't know in Mbale, sorry, in Iganga, which deputy is responsible. I don't know if Mr. Masaba you've discovered, but yes, as help, we need to come in to support, and we shall see what is possible, but we need those reports going forward. Anyone else who wants to react to Mr. Masaba's communication? Is there something in the chat to talk about? Registration, okay. I also need to register, I forget at times. Please register. Yes, Mr. Anjala, yes.
Let me first, the Iganga team might not be able to join us. They told me
yes.
One of them is sick.
Yeah.
And is on medication.
Yeah.
That is Winnie.
Yeah, I think they mentioned it to me yesterday, but I was praying that it is not a serious sickness. Let's pray that it is really not serious, not very serious. Mr. Masaba, sorry, Mr. Angela.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ronald. Good evening to everyone. I would like to thank the deputy of, I would like to first thank the deputy of Mbale, Mr. Isaac. I would also like to thank Elisa for the good work they are doing down there, preparing those people in Mbale. I would also like to thank Winnie and Agnes for their work that they are doing in Iganga, despite the challenges they are facing. But by the time we ended the week, I think there was some improvement in the side of Iganga for the lessons I actually hosted. A few things that I want to take note of. Elisa talked about the network stability and then the instability. And I remember I requested Elisa to find out from either Adam or the other gentleman, Andrew, whether they switch off that router coming from Renu. These routers are not meant to stay on 24 hours, 7 days a week without rest. If they are not using the routers at any specific time, let them give that router some time to rest. You've talked about it breaking off at around 11. Probably sometime very early in the morning before the lessons begin, say at around 7. Let them put it off and it rests for something like 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and then switch it back on at 8:30. You might see a difference in the network connectivity because these devices happen to heat. They have coolers inside, but even the coolers inside cannot manage the heating at any one time when there are very many people who are connected. 2, you mentioned about the number of people who have connected. Yes, that is also a factor. And I also requested you to ask them whether they can think of getting what we call boosters, so that the signals are not picked from the router itself. The signals are picked from a range extender. We call those small devices range extenders. For them, their duty is to pick the signal from the router, throw it to whoever wants to get that signal. And actually, they have even a higher speed than what the router can give you. For example, the router was extended up to 15 Mbps. But this small device ups that 15 Mbps up to 300 Mbps, and you will never feel any shortage in connectivity. Then I would suggest that since we are identifying Mbale as the stronger team with a stronger connectivity, if we have a situation whereby both schools are combined, let Mbale host so that we don't get those breaks in that you talked about when the Iganga people are delivering. The Iganga person can follow as the Mbale person is running the slides. I remember in some English lesson, I had to quickly jump in and I asked for the presentation. It was sent to me, and then I helped them display the presentation. And the lesson went on comfortably well up to when the lesson ended, simply because I was in an area where at least I had a stable internet connection. Likewise, let the Mbale team host where they think the Iganga people will not manage. And then the Iganga people actually are not working from the lab. The Iganga people are working from the staff room. I happen to have talked to, I think Winnie told me there was an extension from the lab to the staff room. And if the distance between the lab and the staff room is far, there must be a breakage in connectivity at any one time. If they use the wires to tap from the lab to the staff room, the distance between the lab and the staff room is also affected in between. by those wires. And then likewise, let us agree on a common timetable in advance. Let us agree on a common timetable in advance between the two schools so that we don't get lessons being missed, so that we don't get clashes in the lessons. The good thing is we have a number of accounts available. At this juncture, I would like to thank Elisa and Javi for agreeing to come in and host some of these lessons. I submit, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Angela. And from the very end, thank you, the members who are holding the accounts for enabling us to use the accounts. Mr. Kaziva, there is an account of 100 participants that we are not using. We need to make use of it. And also, I think we are not using Restituta's account. Restituta, did you in any way activate that account?
I never saw the link, sir. I checked and I never saw the link.
You never went to your email. I will resend. I will go back and resend that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I should be able to do that even in this meeting, because then we have paid for them. They are closing out on the 20th of August, sort of September, and we are not using them. That is another one. So, Mr. Angela, could you please, you know, you've said a lot. Could you provide a simple report on what you have said? And you can use the report form. And then what I will ask of Christine is to pick from that report and put in the main report. But then we can share Mr. Angela's report also following together with Elisa's, because he has a probable questions that Renu can actually follow. And what came to my mind was, Mr. Angela, do you work from the Chitovu lab or you work from home?
No, I'm working from home. Sometimes I come to town.
How far is home from Chitovu?
Beg your pardon?
How far is home from Chitovu?
Just some 100 meters.
Okay. The team Gayaza, Madam Javi, I know you work from the lab. Does Deborah and all the other people, Christine, do they make use of the lab at Gayaza? Does Jose stay in Gayaza anyway?
No, he does.
No, I don't. I stay within Kawempe.
Jose, where do you stay?
Kawempe side.
Ooh, from very far. Because what I was thinking of now that I think Gayaza, you are going on holiday for 2 weeks. And if Mr. Angela was also working in Chitovu, then we would request Renu to up the speeds in Gayaza and Chitovu so that they support our work in the next 2 weeks, like they've upped Mbale and Iganga, and then we see if many of us are on better speeds, how do we support these schools? But that now requires Mr. Angela to answer that, but also for Gayaza to see if there is an opportunity to get people like Henry Kajimu, Christine, you know, Zawede and the others to be using that internet. Otherwise, also we cannot up it for Javida alone. It doesn't really make a lot of.
I can also go to Gayaza.
Where do you stay, Esther?
I stay in Nakwel.
Ah, yes. But then that would mean, you know, working from the comfort of your home is good, but when you go to Gayaza, you team up with Javi. That would be a good one. That would be a good one. And then we also get Jose for these 2 weeks in Gayaza. Most of the time, we get Deborah we get Christine, such that we make use of the lab, and probably we find out Javira if we can take over the library for some time. And then I will also drive from my home and come and work there. Anyway, it would help whoever is using internet in that school. So that what I want to take from you too is whether you think it is something you would like us to talk about with Renew. Unfortunately, we don't have, the other school would be Mwiri, but I think Chaz has not mentioned anything. Doreen has not said anything. Who else is Mwiri? Arthur is not here to tell us whether they want us to also up the speeds in Mwiri. Okay, I hope we'll get answers to that going forward. Now, it is very important for us to get the ICT coordinator of Iganga in place. I know that I have an agriculture teacher there who is a close friend of mine and is returned from NCD's work, Jimmy. I will be with him tomorrow. So I may want to ask him to look deeper and support our two friends there. The big men there might be bulldozing our strong ladies. They are not easy to bulldoze, but they can bulldoze them a bit. So we want to use all means to support the system, because remember, our success in those two schools takes us to 60 schools, but also takes us to the Commission of Secondary Education. And we want to climb the ladder of that ministry and be able to speak to somebody about what we are doing. We don't want to remain small. We don't want to remain underground. We want to come out with visible results. Right now, we are still operating under the radar. People have begun scouting us out, and they want to find out what is happening to us. What are we doing? Others want to cut our legs so that we fall, but we need to move even faster and grow a little stronger. Anyone else who has a comment for Irisa? We want to move to another point. Parasi says Renew is slow in Mwiri. Mwiri has its own challenges on that internet, even during seminars. But yes, we want to talk to Renew so that they, so I will put here Mwiri also. But Mwiri, are the lessons still going on, or you're on holiday now?
We are on holiday. We are on holiday, but we're going to resume on Monday.
This Monday?
Yes.
Okay, then I will ask the head teacher himself to raise that with the Renew, and we see what really happens.
Okay.
Okay. Bayo Boniface is in a wrong meeting. That is the problem with these online rooms. Once you open them, unless we now create, we can lock, but we can't lock. We don't know who will come. You know, you can lock. Let's enable waiting room. I've enabled waiting room so that people first ponder there a bit. We don't use all the functionalities of this technology, but we must use it. Okay, thank you, Irisa. And when we get to our friends in Iganga, we shall try to get a good report out of them. So my second point, where does it take me? I wrote down so many things. Yes, you've had me talk about the help clubs, and I have asked the people conducting seminars to take note of good students who are presenting well and where they're coming from. But overall, we want to create help clubs, and this fits in a discussion Research Tutor you were, I think, pioneering. We want students who are going to lead in the development of the help clubs in schools, and also within the teachers network, we will look for teachers who want to become patrons of help clubs within their schools. So we want someone to lead in the development of the concept. Why help clubs? What will they do in schools? Restituta, you've been very good at championing the discussion. The Senior 5 discussion is not yet complete. We'll want to hear from you. The Senior 1 discussion is good so far, and maybe we can take it from there and concentrate on the Senior 5. But we want to know, Restituta, whether you want to pioneer again the discussion on why school clubs and what they would do. One of the things I know that the clubs would do is to organize these seminars in schools, but also discussions. I have a feeling that we can still continue if S4s, for example, and S6s go back to school. We can still hold the seminars on Saturdays, and we can have a bi-weekly seminar for S6, or even stretch it a little bit. But also we can have, say, a Friday discussion across schools, and we set it on Friday, say from 5 to 6, an hour. And we make a timetable of different subjects coming in for discussion. And that is what the club, the students and the patrons will be doing. So Restituta, over to you.
Yes,
and
sir.
I will ask for a minute because I have to change my network. My daughter wants to take her phone. Not get lost. Restituta, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Let me get my work because I had not yet brought myself to. Well, one thing I have noticed, thank you, Mr. Dungu, for this opportunity. And thank you, members, for also attending this evaluation meeting and your participation. For Senior 5, I really must say there is only one presentation that has one response that has come in. And the person says that we should help those who are still struggling in choosing their subject combinations. So help can invite them to a seminar about choosing a career, and a mentor in this area addresses them. That is the only response I have got. So I appeal to you members, please bring in more responses because it helps. For Senior 1, we have, we really have 9 of them.
Don't read all this one.
Okay. Yeah, we have 9, and right now they are very good. We have orientation and several other ideas are very good. We have 9, and so we are still appealing for more responses. I think we can do more. Because I realized Senior 5 yesterday, they were really complaining, what are we doing? What are we waiting for? They were asking, so what next? What next? And I could see Teacher Winnie also responded, please hold on, hold your peace. We are coming in, there's a program. Which program? And so I think we need to come in quick and address them. Thank you, Mr. Dungu.
Okay, and Restituta, maybe we want you to take on more responsibility. We want to draw an orientation timetable for Senior 1, and we want members to join the Restituta committee here. Class teachers of Senior 1 to be are definitely part. I don't know who remembers those class teachers. I know Esther was among. Who else was there?
That was Arthur. Arthur, I think, was one of them.
I'm opening my book, but I don't know where I wrote. Somebody asked us about those names. Somebody asked us about those names in the chat, and we all kept quiet. Okay, there was Esther and and Arthur, I think. No, Arthur was for senior 5 to be, I think. It was Esther. Okay, so registered tutor Esther, who wants to join those so that we have an orientation program for senior 1, which again must start on Monday.
Amen.
We need a third person, and all you do is to brainstorm and lead us to something, and then we add. Can you imagine you have only tomorrow to start us on Monday? Christine, there you go. Masava, there you go. Okay. Find a way of how you want to work. Mr. Masava, you can set up a small 1-hour meeting, and let's see what happens. Okay. Then Mr. Kaziva, we want to look at the timetable. We want to look at the timetable for senior 1, and we shall start with mathematics and English. My suggestion is that let's not make them very busy. The orientation week should take us, and in the orientation restitute, I wrote here some bit of, not career, but some bit of talks. Whom do we invite? And we can even go as far as inviting Dr. Sabrina Chitaka to talk about what, I don't know. People who know her can find out. We can also look at, we can look at the many schools that have been registered. Mr. Angela and sister, how do we analyze those registrations? How do we analyze the registration so that we pick out the most frequent schools? And you will find that many of them are coming from a particular school in terms of first choice. In terms of first choice, because, for example, the secretary of Namagunga took the invitation and said, let me share it with the parents who registered for Namagunga. So you might find a particular school is in there. Now, we can also think of who in that school, or all the girls or all the boys, we can get to talk to these youngsters about the experience in school, and in a way encourage them to think positively about their school. If we go more advert-wise, we could be a good source for the private schools, but we don't want to do that. You know, private schools would want to come and talk to us once, please come to our school, but that's not what we want to do also. Okay. Somebody, please allow Senyondo in, if you can, in the waiting room. So, Mr. Angela, let's look at the registrations and then let us find out. Let us find out if we can get some more people into our orientation. Orientation doesn't end in a week, it can continue. Mathematics and English, heads of departments, quickly brainstorm in your forum. Where do we start the S1? Madam Javi, I'm going to look for, you know that Kadongo book? We used to take those students to Kadongo, and we gave them a Kadongo book to do 500 questions. And that was to enhance their mathematical skills as they come from primary, so that we add. While the new curriculum is different, but before we start them on a new curriculum, we want them to do what they're used to, so that they will be calculating so many things. I have a teacher from primary school who said, Mr. Donga, I got information about this one. My daughter is going to be registered, definitely. But I'm in primary. He said I'm a writer of what, and I would like to work with help. So I told him maybe you can also participate in these S1s, getting them to remember some of their primary content before we start on the secondary content. So Madam Javi, how do we use that booklet of 500 questions? And then that booklet will still be helpful for us. I want us to rewrite it in the context of the new curriculum, in the context of scenario-based situations, and so on and so forth, such that we produce a booklet of 500 questions using that framework too. English language, think of what we want to do. We want to do quizzes. We want to do quick things that will excite them, and also try to shape them into secondary school, and then now lead them into full lessons at some point. So what do we start with? And then what is our work plan, say for a month to come, when we open up full lessons? I think the other lessons will come especially as we open up full board. We'll start on introduction to physics, introduction to chemistry, introduction to what, and we must have our target clear that by the time they go to school, maybe they have worked the curriculum to a certain point. And we have also used that as an opportunity to develop activities for the lower secondary curriculum. So, Mr. Kaziba, let's continue brainstorming about the timetable. The team for the orientation plan, we know that the first week must be used up in that, plus the mathematics and English, giving you some quizzes, giving you some exercises here and there. And what do you know about primary school? There is a drilling, there is a ticking, there is looking at their work. So we need to be careful and maybe design self-evaluation exercises at this point. Otherwise, they will require you to mark their book. Teacher, my book, they will put up their hand. Teacher, my book is not marked. Teacher, my book is not marked. Kind of thing. So this one can be interesting at that. So for senior 5, we need somebody now to look at the orientation of senior 5, while Rested Tutor continues to ask us what the S5s will be. And I want to draw Mr. Kajimu. Mr. Kajimu, you may not escape this because Arthur is not here. And for me, whoever is on table is the right person. Mr. Kajimu, you were with Mr. Palasi and somebody in S6. So we want to draw you a bit to senior 5 for the orientation. Henry, Martha, and Palasi. Could we quickly come up with an orientation program? In there, they have talked about combination. So which session do we hold for them to talk about combination? And then we allow them to test the subjects a bit. Today, I wrote in their chat that please, if you are doing mathematics and physics, put your O-level books of S3 and S4 nearby. We can start by teasing them with some exercises. We set an exercise which has mathematics. Those who want to do physics, we also set an exercise for them. Those who are going to do biology, we set an exercise for them. Chemistry, an exercise for them. And we also have to do it in terms of self-evaluation using those Google quizzes. Otherwise, marking is going to be difficult for you. So that they begin to shape up this, not to scare them, but you can see that the senior 5 arts class has, by yesterday, it had 50, 60 students. The science class, 257 full. And the new class is now booming. So all of them are still yelling science, science, but they also need to understand what is there. So we have to be careful not to scare them, but we also have to start them on so that they realize where they want to be. How do we do that? Henry, Mr. Palasi, and Martha, you are our lead. And on Monday, we must be in full business. The easiest for you in S5 is to set up a program where a mathematics teacher like Lawrence or Emma starts them out. I thought Lawrence came in. Stephen, what happened to Lawrence? He didn't come in? Or you delayed to invite him in?
I invited him in, but I think he has gotten some network issues. His network today has been very bad.
So, of course, Mr. Kaziba, you are working with both of these teams, but we can get a quick way out with these orientation weeks by starting on something that is quick and easy. You can give them A-level mathematics and you start on something about coordinates and something and something and something, and you set there maybe 15 questions, and they will get a little stuck a bit and they will start thinking about it. And then you show them the resource corner, and they start opening books and looking at books, and then they get scared. Oh, will I read all these math books? Let me run away or something. But not to scare them. Again, I want to reinstate that. And somewhere in the orientation, we may want to bring somebody to talk about courses, talk about combinations. Who does that in career guidance in your schools? Mr. Asea in Gayaza, sorry, in SMAC now. I know he has been doing that a bit, but we can also reach out. We can reach out to even people in Chambogo through contacts to come and speak to our students, but with good time. We can reach out to Makerere University, and people can really come, especially if we have the numbers, and that would be good and a plus for us to do that. So let's think big and not too small, but also workable. We'll see if it is workable. If it's not workable, we drop that. And also the old schools, old students, and even the head teachers. If we are having so many Mengo students, let's invite Mr. Kazibo of Mengo to speak to students about something. We will not tell him that Mengo students are here, but when he addresses them, where do you want to go for A-level? They say, Mengo. Then he will be caught in there. So let's think of good ways of what to do. Is there somebody who wants to add something to the teams that are going to draw the orientations? On Monday, we must have actions. And Mr. Kaziwe, the timing should be synchronized with our timing and our use of the Zoom accounts. We operate in the afternoon, and I hope we can fit in still in the afternoons. Okay, if the orientation teams are not getting any advice here, they will get it on WhatsApp. So we'll move beyond. I've covered 2 points there, the health clubs, help clubs, and then the orientation. English language, we are talking about a debate for 18th. 18th is the next Saturday. How far, and are we ready? Somebody welcome Emma. Somebody welcome Emma. Is it easy to admit him?
Yes, he's joining.
Okay. Emma, you are welcome. We put a waiting room because people were crashing in our meeting. So we put a waiting room and we welcome people as they're supposed to be. So English language. Is there any plan about the debate, or we cancel it off our program? For now, not fully, but for now.
Good evening, members. Mr. Dongo, we really stopped at getting the motion, but we hadn't thought of a way forward. So I don't know whether we could be given the weekend and then we ascertain the viability of that program.
Okay, the way forward is very simple, Deborah. In your lessons for senior 3, I hope that debate can be, what did you agree? Is it senior 3 alone and senior 2 alone, or you want them to come together? We start with the senior 3 one, I think.
I don't think it would be a problem combining that two, because it is a contemporary motion, so they can relate whether senior 2 or 3. So it would be okay to make it open.
Okay, my proposal is this. We have one lesson. A week per class. My proposal is that you use next week to steer up, stir up or to build into the debate. Whatever the debate will be like, no problem, we shall have started. Okay? Like they discuss mathematics and discuss physics, they should be able to debate. So, Mr. Kaziba, I want to request that we keep the debate on for senior 2 and senior 3 next week, combined from 10 to 1, if they want to use up that time. But we can hear from the students, and the teachers can come in to polish and tell us the good about debate and how to do it better. So you use your classes this week to prepare students, and you use Thursday. Mr. Kaziba, that is is it from 2? Oh, you have a lesson of S1. Yes, some people can be in the debate and others can be in S1. You use Thursday from 2, but it can also come from 4, because other classes, S3 will have another class. Okay, from 4. You use Thursday for the proposers and opposers who have come through. And it would be good to form a team of proposers that has S2s and S3s. Then opposers that has S2s and S3s. And also they're coming from different schools. You take note of that. And then you bring them together on Thursday from 4 to 6, and you polish them. And we shall invite the S1s to the debate. We shall invite the whole world to the debate, including us, and we come and listen to the debate on Saturday. So English language, you're on the spot. The debate is on 18th, and that would be very exciting for us to know. Eva, I'm wondering why somebody left you behind, but thank you for joining. Lawrence, most welcome. And we feel warm having all of you here. We always want to do it with or without getting tired within the week. So for those who have just joined, especially Emma, Lawrence, and Eva, the senior 5s are with us. And next week, we want to start on them. And while we'll be doing orientation, we want you to organize and we test them a little bit, like mathematics. What is that O-level mathematics they need from geometry, indices, things, then probability, some statistics. But we don't want to give them an exercise where we carry papers home. We want to do it, I think the way Gayaz has done it, the way Namagunga is doing evaluation of all subjects using the Google quiz. So we do that. We test on the ICT, but also test on their knowledge of O-level work. And that should guide them whether they are in biology to stay, but we don't scare them a lot. I think that's what we said. So as we leave the orientation and the teaching of senior 1 and senior 5, I want to leave a question. What is our plan to support students up to the university during holidays, starting now, and of course, enabling them to evaluate their combinations and working with them until when we celebrate the A's. So we are here to stay and not to go. The debate, we have talked about that. Now my next point is about integration of cross-cutting issues in the teaching and learning. I have talked about it in the Senior 1 curriculum session, but now as members of HELP, holistic learning is well beyond calculating the mathematics on the blackboard or talking about the concepts of English language, and we go into the application world. Christine, your hand is up.
Thank you so much. So,
Christine, your hand is up. Is there something?
Okay, so yes. My inquiry is about you said Thursday. Is Thursday going to be used to plan
Do
for
we
the
know whether
debate?
Christine has something? Christine,
Okay,
Christine, do you have something to say?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear her. For me, I can hear her.
Ronald, I think it's your network. Christine, you can go on.
Okay,
yes,
so
I
my
can
question.
hear now, but she was not
Okay,
speaking
so my
then.
my question is, did you say Thursday was to be used? Did you say that Thursday is to be used to plan for the debate?
Yes, Christine, like on Thursdays, we usually have the practice sessions. So we shall as well use that Thursday that we prepare the learners for the debate.
Okay, so it's okay. My suggestion is maybe we can push the practice, that session to after the classes. I don't know, maybe from 4 to something, because I know that on Thursday we have S1 English, and then we have, I think, S5 literature. So I think all the teachers in the department are going to be engaged at that time. Maybe we could push the debate to maybe, I think, 4 or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, Teacher Christine, the session always starts at 4 to 6. That is the beauty.
Okay.
Okay, and as I talk about integration, cross-cutting issues, our Friday hope of having the club time from also 4 should now fall into place. And but we wait for Rested Tutors also committee on club issues. And please, Rested Tutor, you add, what do we do at HELP before even we think about doing it in schools? And Friday from 4, I think that should be our club time. And how do we engage them? We need to do things beyond I don't want to say beyond academics, because everything is academics, but beyond books, but feeding into the holistic learning that we talk about. So as we talk about integration of cross-cutting issues, we need to identify these cross-cutting issues. As I mentioned earlier in one of the sessions, HIV is one of them, gender is another, entrepreneurship is another, for entrepreneurship, there are areas you can do agribusiness, you can think of tourism, then you can specifically talk about climate change issues. So we shall select areas for a particular period. And what I would like us to start from is agribusiness. And it is very specific because we really want to empower the teachers. We really want to empower ourselves. We really want to think beyond our usual job into being entrepreneurs, using the little saving we get into business. So we need to learn. And I always say that if you can teach with an eye lens of business, then you'll continue teaching, but also earning. I want to draw an example of a teacher. Is from Zambia. We meet in the mathematics group outside help. Of course, I've not been able to draw some of them here because they have been very busy of late, but they will join us sometime, I think. He's a poultry farmer, and he's very good at poultry, that he even does caged poultry, caged chicken rearing. And I've been talking to him about how he can integrate his mathematics into that. And we have recorded some videos. But what I don't feel that he does is to actually bring that in his lesson. He can tell you how he makes use of sampling and how sampling helps a farmer. But I would love that when he's teaching A-level mathematics and is at the topic of sampling, he actually tells them what he does in his poultry farm. And he actually, now that he's teaching on Zoom, takes them to his poultry farm unit and he explains a live lesson from there. So I would like us to take entrepreneurship as a cross-cutting issue for the first year. And in particular, I'm inclined to agribusiness. I'm inclined to agribusiness myself, and that is where we link up with Mr. Murumba. But also, I want also to draw from my own experience of the farm camps in school. And I would like us to, as Holistic E-Learning Platform, to continue offering farm camps. And those farm camps will draw us as teachers into agribusiness. So I want to announce the first farm camp organized by the Holistic E-Learning Platform is now being planned, and the planning is starting tomorrow. But I've been writing a few notes today, and I will tell you why I was writing a few notes, but it's now being organized for 26th to 30th October. And if this succeeds, then that week, we are going to teach from the farm camp. And tomorrow, I've invited some top thinkers on the farm camp in a meeting, which will be held from 11 to 1. Mr. Kaziba, I would definitely draw you into that meeting because I know you are a farmer at that. And I like it that you're a farmer because then that puts us together the more. Mr. Angela, I know your weekend is really cut out, but in future we shall bring you in so that we look at the ICT components that we shall need to use. But why am I quickly thinking about the farm camp? One, this morning, I had a meeting with one of my friends. He's the executive director of New Cafe. He's one of the guys who make coffee. They grow coffee and he makes coffee. So he works up the whole value chain. And I had a few cups of coffee with him. And definitely I would love that he supplies coffee to all of you, which he will do. And he will convince you to become coffee drinkers. The challenges are many with that, but so in our discussion, we actually caught up on another discussion we had at an agribusiness farm camp at St. Mary's College, Subi. The last I did before I left St. Mary's College, Subi. So over 2 years we had not met, so we caught up. And in our discussion, we talked about many things, including how are we going to sustain the Holistic E-Learning Platform? Where are we going to get the money to sustain this program? And so when I left his office, as I drove home, my mind ran back and said, why don't we give it a try and draw organizations to us, and maybe if it is feasible within this farm camp, we can get a lot of mileage, including raising some funds that could be leading us into some sustainable portion. So what does that mean? If we want to be sustainable, then we are going to find somebody who will fund our program, and that person, we shall convince them, for example, that we are going to write all activities of integration, or many of the activities of integration, with the eye lens of agribusiness. Or you want to convince somebody over tourism, that you are going to promote tourism through English, through mathematics, through this and through that. And then they will say, can you write those materials? So I will pay for writing those materials and seeing how you integrate that in the curriculum. So that is the thought that is coming to my mind, but it is a hard thought for anyone. I only want to encourage you that we have done some of these things. Those who know me, that is my area of action. I taught mathematics at A level through the garden, and now Gayaza is enjoying matoke through the matoke gardens that I planted. And no one knows even where I got money to plant those gardens. So even you might end up setting up farms for yourselves, and somebody will wonder how, because somebody has come in to say, okay, the holistic teachers, I have a fund to give them. If they are going to practice this and use it in the classroom, I will fund their activities. At times, we don't want to talk too much about the outcomes, because then somebody will start working because of the outcome, and when it doesn't come, they really feel bad about it. But we want people who are dedicated, like you've already demonstrated your dedication. So we are moving you step by step, process by process up the ladder. And at some point you will realize where we are heading. We cannot also describe the direction we are taking, but we know at least that we are getting somewhere. So please, 26th and 30th, Mr. Kaziba, put it on our calendar. Tomorrow we shall have an initial discussion on that with a team of 4 people. So with you, we will be 6, and then we see whether it is something possible. But since we've ever done it, then it is possible. And we also, oh, maybe that should now take me to the next point and last point, because it's even getting late. Doreen is saying the battery is low. I can imagine since morning. Okay, the next point is that many of you know that I work with VVOB, Education for Development, which is a Belgian organization. And as of 9th September, I resigned because I want to put a lot of emphasis on help. So I'm going to move this month in a way of handing over. And why am I doing that? I want to make my availability more at help, because I think we can grow into a bigger thing. But there are opportunities and challenges. There are opportunities and challenges. One of the opportunity is that I will be available to support you in your work, and I will dedicate time to help. The challenge with that is that I'll be more critical, and that will bring more work for everyone on the platform. But the other opportunity, as I said, is that I'm going to dedicate more time to resource mobilization, so that we try to look for monies to support us. But the challenge on the other side is that when I have a drop in income, then probably our airtime refund will now become low. It will become low. So that means we need to think together on how to raise that. But of course, the quick one I can say is where we've had two people in the class. Then because of lack of funds, we will reduce it to one person. We don't want it, but if that is what it means, we will do. So then there are other options, really. The other options, and those options we can talk about a bit later. So the other opportunity is that we shall have time for more planning and develop the system, the program in a more holistic manner. But it also brings exciting challenges on the side, because if we have to integrate agribusiness or to integrate tourism or integrate HIV in our lessons, then it's an exciting challenge for us. So I want you to take note of that. And of course, for the weak souls, they will say, I better run out of help. For the strong souls, I think we shall continue and we shall get afloat to the other bank very soon. One of the other sustainable options we have is we want the senior ones and the senior fives to be paying classes. The challenge is the moment we bring in paying, we are going to get many people cutting our feet. So what are the opportunities? One of the opportunities is like when you have a conference that week, then students should pay for the conference and pay for the activities of the conference. And so that week becomes a paying week for many people, many students across the board than only the senior ones or senior fours. And in that respect, you can get in some funds that push you for a bigger, a longer period. But maybe it is more sustainable paying monthly for lessons. But we started off when we are not a paying organization. So we can only maybe push this ones and this fives to pay. We have put a meeting on 2nd October for senior ones and senior five parents. In the circular, those who have read the circular, at 11 a.m., we meet the senior five parents, and at 2, we meet the senior one parents. And at that point, we want to use that time to get them to agree on a few things and also to retain them. So before 2nd October, what we do with the S1s and S5s should be excellent, or else they run away because they are not seeing any value in what we are doing, and therefore they can't stay to pay. The other opportunity we see is to find the companies of parents to kind of caution our activities by advertising with us. And how do you advertise? That is a question. Today, Mr. Angela, you had a post of help in Zoom, and I thought Shell can have a poster behind our Zoom in all our lessons. And then we are talking about teaching the youth about good speed, good fuel, good everything, the way they do their thing. But also, I think there is a rule where schools should not be used as advertising boards. But that does not stop us from telling the children, please always brush your teeth, but using this Colgate is good enough, because we've, as a teacher, I've found it good. That is subtle advertisement, but somebody can easily give us money in that angle. Those are more difficult things to think about, but those are things we have used in schools to build capacity of schools, and we think we can use that. So I want to conclude there and take any questions. Javi, I can see your hand up. Anything that you'd like us to, you'd like me to mention, Javi?
Thank you, Mr. Dungu. This is about Swahili. Last week, I think it is either Teacher Winnie or Teacher Agnes who mentioned it in the WhatsApp group. This week, during our senior 1 lesson in physics, still some students were requesting that Swahili is compulsory. Can you also bring it on board? And I know here, we already have people who can teach Swahili. So I don't know whether it can be included in the timetable.
Christine, speak. You greet us in Swahili, Christine.
Hamujambo.
Hatujambo, Christine.
Hamujambo, Christine.
Thank you, Javi. I was also going to ask the same question. So we can actually include Kiswahili. If it's next week, I have actually things to teach, so we can. And good thing I have Javi, we can actually co-teach. So I'm ready.
Javi speaks Swahili.
Yes.
Mr. Dumu, upon you if you didn't know.
Yeah. Okay, so the unfortunate thing is, and this is what I said, Stephen, the 2 hours, we better break them for S1. We better break them to one, or we extend, we do 1.5, and we extend to 4:30 instead of 4. So that we include, because we have biology to include, we have chemistry is already there. We have Swahili now. It would be a good addition. We're already here. What do you think, Mr.?
Yes, Ronald, I think I have included Swahili already. It will be running, I think, to be a Tuesday. But we are going to discuss.
Okay. Thank you, Javi. And please, you can see, we say it now and we conclude it. Any other comments? You know, when you don't say it, it remains. If you say it, it comes onto the table, high table. That's what they say. Doreen, are you speaking?
Yes, also I got some inbox from one of the students. I don't know why he's in senior 3. He told me that, Madam, I'm very grateful to be on help, and I'm really glad to be enjoying the help activities. But unfortunately, I do French, and the French is not included. But I'll just take on what I do. I think why is in senior, I don't know which class really. But that's what I got from him.
Okay. We are actually transitioning into becoming a school, but I don't know if there are regulations for online schools in Uganda. If you know about that, please let me know. I want to have a cup of tea with the Commissioner of Secondary Education. So Mr. Masaba, you are delaying me with a good report from Mbale, because if there is a good report from Mbale, then the head teacher will already have shared it with the commissioner, and the commissioner will be very happy to have a cup of tea with me, and then we can ask many questions. But before we transition into school, we can't do everything. we just do the little we can. So that should be the answer. And I like it. I think Madam Javi, you said it to the students that slowly by slowly we keep adding. Yeah? We keep adding a few things. Elisa?
Thank you so much, Mr. Dungu. In my report, I was talking about how do we, now we are looking at help, but we have also started on the 2 schools. How do we put some lively thing? You have already suggested a debate at help. I know we cannot move a debate at these 2 schools, but we can borrow a leaf from here. We've tried quiz sessions and it has worked very well in help. I was thinking if we can organize one such that the 2 schools can try it out. Perhaps someone can write something about that. Thank you.
Mr. Masawa, please go ahead. Go ahead. The quiz, whatever we test at help, we take it to the schools. We also want the schools to say that they are hosting a mathematics seminar, and we bring all the help students into the seminar. That is what we want to do. We don't want to swallow the schools, but you already discover that our classes are swelling because those students, when they study there in the morning, in the afternoon, they want to cross. Maybe some are now dodging the morning sessions and coming in the afternoon. I don't want to imagine so, but we want to support the schools to do the seminars and we go there, okay? So that should be one of your interests, Mr. Masaba, to encourage those schools to host a seminar on one Saturday, and we all go there for the seminar. So if there is French in Iganga in the morning, we can now see how we can send the girls there. If there is CRE, if there is fine art, that relationship we should do, but the teachers there need to agree that they can receive some students. For example, there is general paper somewhere by Madame Victoria, and Madame Victoria is open. So Mr. Masaba, explore if that general paper in that morning with Madame Victoria, we can take our A-level students there for general paper. We don't want to do everything because we can't, but we can make use of that. Like we actually take the geographers to Navis, the geography team started as a Navisunsa kind of center. Although I think Navisunsa, the numbers of Navisunsa are growing out, but we take our students for geography there. Otherwise we could not, for example, put it straight within our own coffers. So that is what we are going to do. We can't do O-level history, but if there is a history teacher in Mbale and he says it's okay, I can teach in Mbale and others, then we do that. We do that. After all, we are not charging the people here. The challenge will be when we have those paying students for senior 1 and senior 5, and we want to take them elsewhere. That is where the challenge will be. So for those, we'll have to do it, but also offer the little we can, okay? So members, we would delayed, but I want to also communicate something about our airtime refund. I did try to do something this morning. The greatest challenge is to look through the activity log. So I resorted to the heads of departments telling me who taught what and who was the co-teacher where. And I know for some people, I have not been able to reach your phones because once my mobile money runs out, I have to wait. I didn't know that there is a rule you can't send over 2 million shillings. And you can't withdraw over 2 million shillings, something like that. So our expenses go beyond that. So I have to wait for a day and then I can continue. So it is really a big expense, but it is worth it for the work we do. So we still maintain for now, if you teach a lesson or you co-teach a lesson, we do an airtime refund of 35,000. So if somebody is your co-teacher, insist that you really plan with them and insist that they work with you. Otherwise, you are getting the same airtime refund. And that airtime refund has two components. It really has the data, and it also has a performance allowance. I should say it is not good enough, but that is what we can offer for now. And we work hard to raise some more money so that we can drive the Mercedes that we want to drive probably in future. So, so you look at the airtime you received and see whether your number of classroom interactions were covered. Beyond that, a class teacher, if you're alone in a class, like I think Jose is alone in S2. I don't remember if somebody else was included in S2. And I think Doreen was alone in S2. A class teacher, we, at least this week, I added a 20,000 airtime refund, hoping that you were actually in class. So if you are not in class, next week you use that airtime in class because I'm definitely going to ask Mr. Kaziva to make sure he's knowing what the class teachers are really doing. And if you are two in a class, then we share out that into 10,000. And I noted, I think S3, I think it is S5, where we S6, where we have 3 of them. And we still shared 10,000 out to that. So that tells me, of course, the class is big, but you need to share out roles. You need to share out roles. You need to look at Restituta's, what do you call it? Restituta's document for class teachers. I think Restituta, we did that and divide out roles. And next week, we are going to come up with a short class report for us to know what you're able to do with your class in that. I hope Restituta, we have a document on class teachers, and we will ask you, now we are asking you to do too many things. What should they report about? They should report about those activities which you have listed out. So you better share the activities again and work with Mr. Angela such that you put the links on that.
Okay.
So beyond the class teachers, the heads of departments, we have, I think, 4. We have 4 heads of departments. Is it 4? Let me look at this. Heads of departments. I can say we have Wede, we have Nsubuga, we have Nalubowa for chemistry, and we have Madame Javira for mathematics. So the heads of departments, we put 20,000 a week. Now the question is the head of department doing their job? If they are not doing their job, members, then we don't have to, but in the activity log, we should be able to find that I worked with this team when they were developing these slides and so on and so forth. Now, maybe this week we've been able to put those top-ups. Maybe next week we will not, because like I said, we have to watch finances going forward. But at least this week that has been there. Then for the mentors Mentors, you know the role you do. I definitely note that the mentors have gone into the other schools. So even Elisa is a mentor in the other school, and the mentors are in Iganga. Then Deborah, you remain alone at the center. We've been able to put some figure for you, which was agreed on for mentors, which was 25,000 a day for you to be able to do that job, either in Mbale or in Iganga, but also for you at the center to open, to close, and so on. Of course, I have noted that all of us are helping you to open and to close. So we will continue helping them, but we also want to encourage them to continue doing that. And then those who are keeping on supporting Mbale, supporting Iganga, they are into this class, they're into the other class. Somewhere you might find that there is an additional 10,000 because I think somewhere I noted somebody is not a co-teacher, but is in that class also doing something. Not that we shall always put it, but at least this week we are able to put that. And even when we are still in the hardships, we shall note what people are doing. And at some time when we have the funds, we will be able to meet your support in that. So when you receive that handshake, break it up a bit and let me know if the calculations are making sense to you. For Saturday, definitely those who have been in the math seminar, Madam Javi, thank you very much, and the others. I will ask the head of department for maths to send me a note of who has been available. And of course, the ICT team, already I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Angela and Madam Sister, I think I've already put a block onto your handshake for Saturday. And it is this meeting here, which it doesn't attract 35,000 airtime refund, but it attracts 25,000. It moved away from 35 because then we were actually doing writing, but now we are just doing the evaluation. We would have loved to make it 35, but we also cut. We cut on costs here and there. So I think that is what I wanted to communicate as far as refunds are concerned. Shouldn't worry you much. At least the person who is leading the team is focused on making sure that we are motivated, and we shall do whatever it takes to work around the clock and look for finances to support us at the center. Any last comments? I know Eva, Lawrence, Emma are wondering what these guys are up to when they sit up to 7, from 7 to 7. That is what has made us a strong team. And I don't know what the title of this story can be. English team. We started in June, and I think specifically June 3rd or somewhere May something. And here we are in September. If we want to write about this story and what we have achieved and what we are building, what title would you give it? Please share with me in my inbox, because I really want to write this story. I want to write this story because now I've left VVOB. I've not been on social media because of restrictions. I really want to blast out on social media and tell our story, because it's in telling stories that we might get the good and bad anyway of that. Okay. Anything before we close out? Anything before we close out? Why don't we open our cameras and we see how you look at 7, having started at 7. I think you can see the sleep in my eyes. I left at 1 or 2, came back at 6, and we are at 7. Okay, anybody wants to say anything? Mr. Anjala and Madam Javila, do I take it that Gayaza and Chitovu, we up the speed? Mr. Anjala, will you go there to use the speed?
Mr. Dung. Hello?
Yes. Who is speaking? Dori.
Some students are requesting for recordings of the seminars, whether physics, math, chemistry. How will they get them?
Don't we share them? Don't we share them? We share. We usually share them, don't we? We do. Okay, Teacher Henry, let me ask now, are you sitting in the sitting room and Eva is sitting in the bedroom, or you are all in the sitting room? That is another story we can talk about. I can imagine. It's another story. But what we should be doing, of course, is downloading them and then turning them into YouTube. But editing them, I heard you, Stephen, talk about editing. I don't know where you are going to get this energy to edit and share them again as YouTube, but within you and Steve and Charles, you can promise us what you want to do, because some students definitely cannot access them in that format of Zoom.
Mr. Lungu.
Yes.
Perhaps the other thing, as you record you're recording to the cloud, there is also a possibility. I don't know whether there is some way you can do it generally, but you can give permission to any other person using a laptop to record a local file. Though I have not yet learned how that can be done generally. I only know how to do it on individual basis, but of course it can be very hectic for over 100, to give permission to over 100 or 200 people. So if they are...
for the students to record for themselves.
Yeah, so because some of them may need to access later, but of course accessing online also requires data.
Yes, but also we also want to hold on to the ownership of these recordings. So they access them from somewhere, either they access them from the cloud or they access them from our YouTube. But Mr. Anjala and Mr. Kaziva, that is homework for you. How do we, I have recorded up to the time I was in Ibala. I have all of them on my hard disk here now. But now pushing them up is another tall order in terms of data, but also editing them a bit so that they really look nice. Okay, friends, I think we must go. We can't go beyond 8 minutes past 7. I want to thank you for your time. Next week is going to be heavier. The people working on our orientation week put up quick and easy options to start with on Monday to excite the young people and the old people in A level. Get the quick sessions like of mathematics, so that Emma and Lawrence take them through some mathematics session and they start thinking whether they are going to manage, but don't scare them a lot. let Javi and team think about the calculations. I'm going to look for the 500 question book and share it with you probably now, so that you start playing around. We take 10 questions, and also ask them. You remember like that activity of go and look at farmers and do what? We also send them to do some things around the house practically. Okay, with that, I want to wish you the very best and ask Henry. Henry, you are the assistant chaplain now. Could you pray for us and we go for the weekend? Nice weekend. Henry, pray for us. Yeah, hasn't.
Yes, Mr. Dungo, I'm there. So in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, Heavenly Father, we thank you for your grace. We thank you for guiding us through the day. We thank you for giving us the energy, guiding us through the whole week. Thank you very much for the energies and for enabling us to be where we are. Our Father, as we depart, we ask for your guidance to go ahead and see that all that we are planning can be to the greater glory of your name and can see us to even higher heights. We thank you for you. I know you have answered our prayers. I want to wish everybody journey mercies, those who are not yet home, and for us to have a better life as we go to little rest. Thank you, Father. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. We'll catch up on Monday. Bye-bye.